I guess when Trump reduces tariffs, it's a step in the right direction. But when Trump increases tariffs, it's also a step in the right direction. What the?
I don't think you understand the point of this doctrine. Like,
I don't understand whatever you're saying, because you're saying that it is a step in the right direction to reduce tariffs and to increase tariffs on the same country, on the same goods, at the same percent simultaneously. That doesn't make sense.
The instability is hurting all of our industry and all of our economy.
The amber liquor is his state's liquid gold, generating $9 billion a year and responsible for more than 23,000 jobs.
That's the farmer who grows the corn. Those are the drivers that deliver it all over the country. A ton of hardworking Kentuckians are impacted by these tariffs.
This is largely red state. You're a Democrat. Maybe a lot of people in your state are for this.
They were for the president, many, if not most of them, and they were for a number of his policies. But what they heard was he was going to help them have a better life, that he was going to improve the economy, that he was going to make it easier to pay bills at the end of the month, and that he was going to bring down prices. That's not what's happening.
Most bourbon is aged in oak barrels at least 4 years. Some premium bourbons more than double that. Making it takes patience, something distillers say.
The chaos and the dismantling of the CDC this past week should frighten all of us. Yes, it started about 6 months ago. It's kind of been a death by 1,000 cuts. Let's talk about that. Layoffs and resignations, content censorship, and grant funding being rescinded should frighten all of us. And then this past week, the CDC director was fired. 3 long-standing leaders at the CDC, as well as others, also resigned because of everything that's going on. Healthcare providers are calling this a disaster. And for those of you that aren't very clear about what the CDC does, we'll talk about that. The CDC has been the leader and powerhouse around the world, and it's been operating for over 80 years with many accolades under their belt. The disease prevention has been on evidence-based science. Malaria was eliminated in 1980, and smallpox that used to kill 1/3 of the people that got it and left the rest blinded or disfigured has been eradicated as well. National experts were brought together to collaborate on the SARS virus, the Zika virus, and Ebola. Some CDC websites or links have already been removed. I'm having to revise my book I wrote a couple years ago because I had links in there to look up the evidence on the CDC website. Those are gone. Approximately 70% of the CDC's funding goes to state and local governments to take care of public health issues. The funding has helped local cities do public health education, take care of their labs in the public health department, and workforce training. This is the first line of defense to keep our nation healthy. The CDC has been in front of infectious outbreaks, chronic diseases, and environmental exposures. With funding cuts that is going to impact staffing, supplies, and services that especially rural or low-income places in our cities and our counties. These are going to be impacted at the highest levels. The CDC has had many programs that help U.S. citizens across America. Infant mortality, chronic diseases such as diabetes, strokes, and cancers. What are we going to do without this funding? It's estimated that the CDC's infection prevention programs have helped hospitals prevent 4,500 deaths, as well as saving $3.3 billion. Its HIV prevention programs are estimated to have saved 350,000 HIV infections. The CDC is also the command center for natural disasters like hurricanes. Well, I think our country is heading for a natural disaster in our healthcare. This complicates an already complex and broken system. I think everyone should be really concerned. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Stay safe out there, and let's band together to see what we can do. Call your senators, your Congress people. This has got to stop. Thanks for following. I'll see you on the next one.
I lost my job on Monday. Today is Friday. I just got my pay slip for my severance pay. And what do you mean? Nearly half of the pay is gone. It's gone to fucking tax. What do you mean? You took the only income that I'm making right now and you taxed nearly half of it. I don't know what to say. I'm so stressed right now. Like, what the fuck? And the only reason I feel this way is because in Australia, if that money, the same amount of money that I got in my severance pay had been paid to me in Australia, I would have received all of it tax-free. All of it. Because there is a threshold for severance pay in Australia when you get cut from a company. And half of it is now gone. And so now I've got to try and work out how to survive months on this, what is effectively now a tiny chunk of money, and I don't know what to do. How do people live in this country? I don't understand. They hate us. They hate people in this country. I don't understand. They don't want you to succeed. That's what it feels like. It feels like they just don't want you to, like, surely severance pay shouldn't be taxed at the same rate, right? And I know in the tax return, I'll probably get a chunk of it back. And I also know that my employer put it down as the 28%, not the 22% or whatever it is. So I did get taxed slightly higher, but it wouldn't really have made a difference. That extra, like, fucking 5-6%, whatever it is, like, it wouldn't have made a huge difference. It still would have been more, but, like, I'm shocked. I'm scared. I can't believe I'm going to say this. This is the first time I have ever questioned what I'm doing here. And it's like, what am I doing here? I don't have anyone. Like, I have my husband, obviously, but I don't have my friends or my family. I'm really scared. Like, I'm really scared. I don't even know if I'm eligible for unemployment. I submitted it, and now I'm thinking, like, what if I'm not eligible because I haven't been here long enough? I don't know what to do. And yet, before I saw the payslip, I was like, I'm just going to order a coffee. I usually make coffees at home. And now I'm like, I didn't need to spend that $6. $6! Oh, fuck. Like, I feel for everyone that's done this for decades longer than I have, because I've been here for fucking a year. And it ground me down in a year.
I don't know who's out here living the American dream, but I can tell you one person who isn't, and that's me. I have 4 kids, and I'm working 3 jobs, and I'm still struggling. My full-time job, I'm a 911 dispatcher. My other 2 jobs, a waitress. The American dream should not be this hard. I should not have to be working my life away, being away from my kids. You know, sometimes I have to pick. Am I going to pay my electric bill? Or am I going to buy groceries? Because my kids need to eat. This is not the American dream. I'm so tired of struggling. You know, so many people are going to working multiple jobs just to pay for a house to sleep in. Just to put their head down at night. This is not the American dream. Not my American dream. That's why I started posting here on TikTok. So hopefully I can slow down some so I can spend time with my kids. Life shouldn't be this hard. I know one person that's making 6 figures and they're still struggling. Why's it gotta be so hard? Anyways, if you want to help this mama out from struggling, you know what to do. I'm headed into work to work at Buffalo Wild Wings today. I have to work a double. Say a prayer, I make some money.
Oh no.
Hi everybody, so some absolutely fantastic news for Canada. Canada and Japan have signed an LNG deal, a liquefied natural gas deal. Canada are going to start exporting LNG to Japan as early as September or October. Now, it's very interesting. There's a little bit of a twist to this story, because originally Japan were looking at the possibility of getting LNG from Alaska. They were in negotiations with the United States, but then the United States came along and put a tariff on Japan. And if there's one thing we've realized from this whole thing about Trump, is that you don't bully friends. Okay, so Japan has made a decision to start getting this LNG from Canada. Specifically, it's going to be going to Tokyo Gas, so mostly it's going to be a domestic supply kind of thing. It's going to start September, October. So it's good news. This is going to secure jobs in our industries, and it's going to bring revenue into Canada. So this is something to celebrate, folks. My name is Nick. I'd love you to give me a follow. Let me know about what you think about this in the comments. And this source came from Reuters. Thanks, folks.
I live in Kentucky, so when Premier Ford of Ontario says, "We'll get your bourbon, we'll hit you with your bourbon," that's a direct hit to us, because 98% of all bourbons are made in Kentucky. $9 billion is put into our economy because of Kentucky. I don't know how it will affect us, but it seems like it would affect us. That's a direct hit. So, I don't know how much bourbon Canadians drink. Do y'all drink a lot of bourbon? He said he'll take all U.S. liquors off their shelves. Swoop. He said, we'll start drinking wine. We'll start drinking our own wines. This is wild. So, everyone have a good day, all right?
This country is become communist, totally. This Biden regime.
So I have a question. Can you define communism?
Communism is what they want to control everything, control people's lives, control everything. Take your freedom of speech. They don't take it off. They jail you. You know, that's what communism is.
So you think it's communist to take away freedom of speech?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How do you feel about Trump saying that he wants to put people in prison for a year for burning the American flag?
Yeah,
Isn't that?
That's communism. Communism is they don't let you talk.
But Trump is the one who wanted to take away people's freedom of speech by saying they should be put in prison for a year for burning the American flag.
Yeah. Burning is not okay. The flag is represent the whole country. What the country is, you cannot burn the flag. I mean, you don't love the country. You know, if you don't love the country, you should not live here.
The Supreme Court determined that it's freedom of speech.
So, you're not allowed to burn the flag. It's country. It represents the country.
Isn't it communism to take away freedom of speech?
No, it's not freedom of speech.
So is Trump a communist?
No. You burn the flag is not okay.
Let's talk about Kentucky. So I saw this on Threads. It says Kentucky faces major job losses after 3 major whiskey and bourbon distilleries file Chapter 11 bankruptcy, thanks to Trump. They are a red state, and because of all of his rhetoric, it made Canada, it made other countries say, I am going to boycott American products. So Kentucky definitely is facing a boycott. Let's get into a few more of these comments, and then I'll talk about the article that I found. Brittany says, in other words, they got what they voted for. They not only voted for Trump in 3 elections, they kept McConnell in office for an insane number of decades. So, yeah, I have absolutely no sympathy for Kentucky. And then Andrew says, Ontario is the biggest single purchaser of spirits, and took U.S. booze off the shelf due to Trump's tariffs and his stupid, dumb 51st state rhetoric. He really made the whole world coalesce and say nope to America. Mom of 3 says, Maker's Mark has been my bourbon of choice since I was in my 20s. Even traveled to their distillery in 2016. Now I drink this really great whiskey from Nova Scotia called Red Bank Whiskey. Donald Trump has destroyed America, and this stuff is just beginning. And then Nicole says, Canadians were their biggest customers. Elbows up, Canada. They're not going to forgive America for a very long time. They are going to continue to boycott because it is the principle. It's the principality, Smokey. Let's talk about this article from back in June. It says, Whiskey Woes, is Kentucky's $9 billion bourbon industry on the rocks? Kentucky has seen and enjoyed bourbon's boom over the past decade. Are we beginning to see its bust? Since at least 2015, the distilling industry has steadily grown. Businesses large and small reaped the benefits. But in recent months, 1 new Kentucky distillery has closed, another is millions in debt before it opens, a third is facing a lien the CEO calls a minor blip, while one of the giants of American whiskey has seen its stock price sink to its lowest point in over a decade. What's going on? While the issues with Garrard County Distilling, Luca Mariano Distillery, Whiskey House of Kentucky, and Brown Forman vary, they all appear to touch on the most common market force of them all, supply and demand. Until recently, expensive new distilleries with business plans based on increasing demand for American whiskey seemed like a sure thing. Even established bourbon makers like Louisville-based Brown-Forman expanded and ramped up, especially during the COVID pandemic shutdown when demand skyrocketed. But now demand for bourbon in the U.S. is down, and overseas markets are either cut off. Bourbon and American whiskey are still largely off the shelves in Canada or hampered by Trump's wildly fluctuating tariffs. So it says bourbon and American whiskey are still largely off the shelves in Canada. So that was back in June. Fast forward to now. Kentucky faces massive job loss as 3 major whiskey distilleries go bankrupt. Kentucky's bourbon industry is worth $9 billion annually. However, it's facing unprecedented turmoil. 3 major facilities filed for bankruptcy within 8 months, affecting the industry and thousands of jobs in America's whiskey heartland. The industry supports over, listen to this, 2,300 Kentucky workers and has an annual payroll of $1.6 billion. The thing about it is it supports 23,000 Kentucky workers. Those are workers who spend money in the wider community. This is going to have a rolling impact, a ripple effect throughout this whole state. This is going to be so detrimental, and so much of it is unforced errors. Mounting pressure. Beyond the bankruptcies, established whiskey giants are purging workforces. According to Fortune, Brown-Forman cut 700 jobs in January. Green River Distilling eliminated 26 positions, or 25% of its workforce, reported the spirits business. Diageo paused production at its Lebanon facility through June 2025, affecting additional workers statewide. The perfect storm. Multiple factors are crushing distilleries simultaneously, according to the Washington Times. American whiskey sales declined 1.8% in 2024 to $5.2 billion. Rising inflation increased production costs, while younger consumers shifted towards canned cocktails and non-alcoholic alternatives. International tariff threats further squeezed export markets. I'll end with this. Local devastation. Lancaster Mayor Michael Gaffney confirmed that Garrard County Distilling's 60 workers were suspended indefinitely. When it opened, the facility represented the largest new independent distillery in Kentucky. Local chamber director Diane Bisher told WEKU that affected employees don't know anything about a potential reopening. America could have voted in a half-dead goat. America could have voted in a moldy cheese sandwich, and they would have done a better job than Donald Trump. Right now, we have the globe against us. Canada's going elbows up. Other countries are boycotting us, and I completely understand. So this is where we are. For all the people that voted for this and lost your jobs, I hope that you're stressed. I hope that you feel this every single day. I hope that your cortisol level has increased and your waistline has increased 3 to 7 inches. And I hope that you feel this for the next 7 to 10 years based on your vote. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
So one of the industries that is really struggling in the United States in regards to Trump's tariffs and also a worldwide boycott and also a Canadian boycott is the bourbon industry. It really is struggling. And I just wanted to list off some statistics for you. So just to give you an idea of how the boycott is affecting these industries and also how Trump's tariffs also are having a knock-on effect these industries. So liquor giant Diageo, I might be saying that wrong, said that sales in Bullet, which is a Kentucky distillery of bourbon and rye, says that sales are down 7.3% so far in the last 6 months. Wild Turkey, a Kentucky-born owned by Campari, sales are down by 8.1% over the past 6 months. International brands can maybe weather the storm a little bit more than smaller distilleries. In July, LMD Holdings filed a Chapter 11 bankruptcy and is closing its Luca Mariano distillery in Danforth, Kentucky. And also Gerard County Distilling has also gone into receivership. And also Jack Daniel's parent company has closed a barrel making company in Kentucky. And I think it should be noted as well that most of the glass that is made, that the liquor goes into, the bourbon goes into, is actually made in China. It isn't made in the United States. So when you're importing those bottles, of course, you have to pay a tariff fee as well. Folks, let me know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Nick. The source for this is the BBC, and I hope you have a great day.
Did you hear about this? A perfect storm just crushed Kentucky's $9 billion whiskey industry. Here's what's going on. In the last 8 months, 3 major distilleries filed for bankruptcy. 23,000 jobs gone. Why? Well, first,
well, Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky has responded to the tariffs that will greatly affect Kentucky with bourbon distilleries and other spirits. There's about 23,000 jobs that are involved with the bourbon industry, and Kentucky will be hit pretty hard. So he has sent a letter asking congressional delegation to assist and stand up in response to these tariffs and how it's going to affect Kentuckians. Here's the letter.
You know, despite not being the best communicator, or he's a communicator, to be honest, and despite having, you know, really inconsistent policies, I do think that he is correct in the direction he wants to move the country. For instance, I'll give an example. Like tariffs, right? We can all agree that like his wishy-washiness on tariff is like undercuts his own position, right? He is inconsistent in terms of policy. However, I think it's also fair to say that if Trump hadn't had such a relatively heterodox tariff opinion and position his first term in office, Joe Biden never would have kept some of the tariffs that Trump instituted the first time around. And I think it's an important thing to do. That pre-Trump, the idea of tariffs was laughable, and now it's a legitimate position, and Trump calls that. And there's a number of key policies that Trump sort of navigates his way through.
I have a question.
He is
What's a
directionally
tariff?
correct. A tariff is a tax on a foreign good.
On an imported good, all right? And who pays that tax?
U.S. firms, the importers.
And it's passed down to the consumer, right? Once they specifically don't have the inventory in order to maintain, right, that level of eating of costs. And
Depends on price elasticity.
Of course. Do you think that that's good?
Like I said, it depends on price elasticity. If it's oil, it's pretty much passed down immediately. If it's something else where consumers are maybe not so interested, or their demand is very elastic, they may not pass it down. I actually read an article, I think it was in I actually don't know where it was, but I read that essentially right now, firms are not passing down the tariffs as much as they could be. That's essentially right now functioning as a corporate tax rate.
It's starting
which is
to trend
a very
up. Inflation
interesting
is starting to trend up.
It is now. It was at least as of the last reading. Core inflation was. Regular CPI wasn't.
Yeah. So we've seen inflation since he's announced the Liberation Day tariffs increase, correct?
I think we've seen very small amounts of inflation. I mean, compared to where we were
after where we were supposed to be going down, right?
I think we would have hoped to be going down.
Right. Yeah. So then, like, given that it is the case that we see a trend in the opposite direction, at this point, it's likely due to the tariffs alongside, right, all of the other conditions we saw, right, in terms of the decrease in the growth of real GDP, the bad jobs report we saw where Donald Trump felt like he had to
I think
the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
I think you're remiss in saying that that's entirely due to tariffs. I mean, let's face it. Okay, this is a true statement. Of all OECD countries, the U.S. is least dependent on foreign trade. We have a massive natural, built-in domestic economy. I think it's far more likely that now we're 2.5 years after interest rates were dramatically increased, they're finally making themselves known. In my industry, particularly in construction, we are definitely feeling like the impact of higher interest rates affects us to a much greater extent than any increase in lumber, for instance. Like you put lumber tariffs on a bunch of Canadian softwoods, right?
Is it because you want to increase domestic production, or what's the point?
No, I'm saying that if jobs are decreasing right now, it's much more likely due to the fact that the higher interest rates are sort of making their effects known. Much more than tariffs. Like to a much greater degree.
So then why weren't they doing that prior when we saw higher interest rates?
It takes time. It takes time to go through the economy. There's something called the Cantillon effect, where different industries are affected by a rise or a decrease in interest rates and inflation at different times. So
I'm not disputing that at different times.
If I have to hear one more time that cuts and layoffs are tough but necessary, and leadership continues to cash in seven-figure checks without taking a pay cut, I might lose it. That is the narrative. But if it was really truly about survival, they would share in the sacrifice.
So one of the industries that is really struggling in the United States in regards to Trump's tariffs and also a worldwide boycott and also a Canadian boycott is the bourbon industry. It really is struggling. And I just wanted to list off some statistics for you. So just to give you an idea of how the boycott is affecting these industries and also how Trump's tariffs also are having a knock-on effect these industries. So liquor giant Diageo, I might be saying that wrong, said that sales in Bullet, which is a Kentucky distillery of bourbon and rye, says that sales are down 7.3% so far in the last 6 months. Wild Turkey, a Kentucky-born owned by Campari, sales are down by 8.1% over the past 6 months. International brands can maybe weather the storm a little bit more than smaller distilleries. In July, LMD Holdings filed a Chapter 11 bankruptcy and is closing its Luca Mariano distillery in Danforth, Kentucky. And also Jared County Distilling has also gone into receivership. And also Jack Daniel's parent company has closed a barrel making company in Kentucky. And I think it should be noted as well that most of the glass that is made, that the liquor goes into, the bourbon goes into, is actually made in China. It isn't made in the United States. So when you're importing those bottles, of course, you have to pay a tariff fee as well. Folks, let me know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Nick. The source for this is the BBC, and I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, because I
On your
had
documents.
I just recently separated from a company.
Okay, well that's different. That is a different situation. Okay, well I will allow. Why? What was the separation? I will allow that.
It was a difficult situation between management and I. So I did get a severance, and
So you got laid off.
And look at this. Look at this. He says the economy is booming. Inflation is down and people are making money hand over fist. Honest to God, I almost wish I lived on another planet right now. I wish I was fucking stupid right now. I really do. But let me just tell you, we have hit an all-time high on inflation for this year, on job loss, on taking longer to get jobs. For God's sake, the dollar store just raised its prices 20%. It's no longer $1.25 at the dollar store. It's $1.50. Tariffs are a tax that U.S. importers pay, and then they pass that cost on to you, the consumer in the United States. More taxes means less money for people and companies to spend. We are heading for an economic crisis, probably something worse than COVID. Please get your finances in order.
Honestly, you know what? At this point, my life is going to absolute shit. It feels like there's nothing to be hopeful for anymore. I feel nothing. So I booked that flight to Italy and I leave in like 2 months. Yes, I only have $100 in my account to last me for the next week until I get paid. Yes, I still have no idea where I'm staying or if I'm going to be able to afford the cost of where I'm going to be staying. But you know what? I'm about to be so fucking delusional because I feel nothing anymore. So I need to feel something. So I booked that flight. I leave in less than 2 months. Have no place to stay. Currently have $100 in my account. What else do I have to lose anymore? Truly, I'm at that point. Like, I'm taking the Delulu up here because I gotta feel something. I know I will feel that something in Italy. And I know that there's a reason I feel nothing here anymore. There's a reason. Like, I'm about to be so fucking delusional that it's about to scare everyone around me. Might even scare myself with the level of Delulu I'm about to reach. But again, I feel nothing currently. I gotta feel something. I've got nothing to lose. So, who's with me? See you in Italy in less than 2 months. Roma.
Bottom of the bottle, and this one stings. Russell's Reserve Private Barrel, one of my favorite daily pours. On the nose. Like caramel and vanilla. Like grandma's kitchen, right before you got caught stealing that damn cookie. The palate, toffee, dark fruit, and that rye spice kick in and make your eyebrows salute. The finish is long and warm. Oak, cinnamon, and a little leather, depending on who it's on. It hangs around like that buddy who always overstays his welcome, but you're kind of glad that he did. This bottle, you swear you'll save it for that special occasion. But suddenly, you see it at night, and every night it's a special occasion. Again, Russell's Reserve, Private Barrel Pick. Find it, grab it. It's phenomenal.
So I was laid off a year ago, and I know right now a lot of people are going through it, and it is happening all around us. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents, and hopefully what I say helps somebody. But the first thing that I wanted to say is if you were laid off, it is not about you. And I know that is so hard to hear, and it is so hard not to take it personal. But I think it is important to remember that being laid off is not indicative of you, your value, your work ethic, anything. It has nothing to do with that. And again, you're going to feel all the feelings, and that is okay. I pray that you give yourself permission to feel anger, to feel sadness, to feel like a sense of animosity towards the organization. Or for some of us, we might feel joy that we were let go and don't have to deal with those people or that space anymore. Either way, it is okay for you to feel whatever that you feel, and it might be a roller coaster. One moment you might be like really sad, and the other moment you might be really angry, and that is okay. So I think those are the 2 things to really remember, is like giving yourself permission to feel all the things, and then also remembering that it is not indicative of you, your value, your work ethic, none of that. So now that we have that squared away, the other thing I really want y'all to do is ask for help. Tell people, even if you haven't been laid off yet, these are the times that we need to lean on our community. I know when I got laid off, it was a lot of us that got laid off. And I had one friend who was like, I don't want to tell my family. I don't want to tell my friends. I'm not going to tell anybody because I'm so ashamed. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. A lot of people get laid off, and it has nothing to do with us. And it is really important that we tell our community so that they can support us during this time. They can't support us if we don't tell them. They can't check in on us if we don't say anything. And having people check in on you, and not just check in on you to be like, did you get a job? No. Checking on you to be like, how are you doing? How can I help? How can I show up for you? That is what's going to sustain you. What sustained me in my 3 to 4 months of being unemployed was my community. They were amazing. And some people fell out of that community because it was like, I didn't feel the support. I didn't feel the things that I needed. And that's okay too, because it shows you in this time who is for you, who's not for you. So please lean on your community. The other thing I will say is to still prioritize rest and taking care of yourself. I understand that a lot of us, after being laid off, or like, I need to be in fight or flight. I need to literally get a new job. I have to do this right now. And we are hyper, like, it's a stressful season. It is absolutely stressful, but we have to do our best to control our body, to regulate our body. And it is important, if you can, to please continue to work out. If you haven't worked out, start working out, journal, meditate. Like, you don't need to go to the most expensive spaces or anything, but just like, take care of your body. Your body deserves rest. This might be the only rest you get in a long time. So sleep, like, don't stay up all night. I know that's hard not to do, but having a schedule really, really helped me. Like, knowing that I still need to be in bed by a certain time. I still need to wake up by a certain time. And Monday through Friday, I told myself I need to do 3 things each day, whether that is a networking call, that is applying to a job, working out. I need to do 3 things each day. But Fridays or Saturday, Sunday, I rested. And I will say, I am a single woman, as I don't have kids. So I think it was JT that said, I don't gotta work as hard. I don't gotta do all. No, when you have kids, it's a whole different thing. I do think, though, it is important for you to still find times of rest, just because when you are interviewing, if it is coming from a place of like, I need this job right now, this, like, I can't, I think it's going to be harder for you to find the right fit. And that's just my 2 cents. But again, I'm privileged in that right now, I don't have kids. And so when I was laid off, all I had to worry about was me. For those of you who are not laid off, but you feel like, I think all of us, honestly, truly, even if our organizations are fine right now with what Trump is doing in our freaking economy, we need to be saving our money. We need to prioritize our financial well-being and be really strategic with what we're doing with our time. And we need to be making connections. We need to be networking with people. We need to be putting ourselves out there. I know LinkedIn ain't my favorite place either, but yo, go on LinkedIn and be posting your shit. Post, do what you gotta do, network with people, update your resume, your cover letter, do what you gotta do, but just be prepared. And I'm not like saying be prepared in a way.
Damn, I didn't even know what I was saying in this last part. But I think I'm saying something along the lines of, I'm not trying to say be prepared in a way of like being anxious about what is happening in your life and to be fearful, but I think be prepared in a way that like sets you up if, God forbid, a layoff does happen. And if a layoff does happen, I just want to remind you, it is not indicative of who you are. It does not mean that you as a human being are not valuable. You are beautiful. You are amazing. And I really pray that you find the next best opportunity and that things flow to you and that you make a lot more money, have better benefits, all the things. You got this. I'm sending you so much love. And if you haven't been laid off, if you're feeling anxious, do your best to get your ducks in a row, save your money, build up that freedom fund, and really strengthen your connections, your personal and your professional ones as well. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat, or what I think that's what it's called, the comments. Yeah. Anyways, have a beautiful day, beautiful people.
CEO of a major U.S. distillery has resigned. Is this a sign of things to come? And does this mean you're going to be able to get cheaper whiskey? MGP is the company behind literally hundreds of different whiskey brands. Everything from Smooth Ambler to Rare Character to Penelope. At some point, they have sourced whiskey from this company. Even Offerings, whose branding is all about being authentic Kentucky, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they get their whiskey from this place in Indiana. Just to be clear, they make great whiskey. That is undeniable. Despite making great whiskey, they have had a bad year. When your stock goes from $100 to 40, it's time for a new CEO. Also, certain investors have filed a class action lawsuit against the senior executives, essentially saying that they lied about what kind of stock they had and the demand. I do think that this is an indication of where the market is heading. MGP has always had great whiskey and shitty marketing, and they have massive, massive stocks in their rickhouses. What does that mean? It means that the price of whiskey is gonna go down. I really feel this is the beginning of a golden age for whiskey consumers, and it's only gonna get better in the next 2 to 3 years. And MGP is not the only distillery that has ramped up a crazy amount of production over the last few years. I'm telling you, in 2 years, the variety, the age, the proof that a consumer is gonna be able to get for a much smaller price than we're paying right now is gonna be great. This is gonna be an amazing time to be a whiskey consumer, but not so good for whiskey investors. I'll do another TikTok on some brands that I think will be gone in the next 2 to 3 years. A lot of them use MGP stock. Let me know what you think. Cheers.
I live in Kentucky, so when Premier Ford of Ontario says, we'll get your bourbon, we'll hit you with your bourbon, that's a direct hit to us because 98% of all bourbons are made in Kentucky. $9 billion is put into our economy because of Kentucky. I don't know how it will affect us, but it seems like that would affect us. That's a direct hit. So, I don't know how much bourbon Canadians drink. Do y'all drink a lot of bourbon? He said he'll take all U.S. liquors off their shelves. Swoop. He'll say, we'll start drinking wine. We'll start drinking our own wines. This is wild. So, everyone have a good day, all right?
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.